All right, it looks like we are live. Woohoo! Okay, let me get my comments pulled up over here.
Dave.
Mute my phone. Get all set up for you guys. Get comfy because you know I like to sit on my feet. Okay, as you guys jump on, give me a comment in the comments and let me know that you're here live with me so that I know I'm not all alone. If you've watched my live videos before, this is my least favorite part of doing lives because I basically get to talk to myself for a little while people join us. Super, all kinds of fun. But I think today was kind of a crazy day around here. I was a little bit in and out working with some family stuff. So yeah, also my house cleaner came, so I got to walk back into a very clean house, which is the best feeling in the entire world, and it makes me feel super spoiled every time. Definitely worth every penny. But actually the most important part was that my dogs got to go to camp today while the cleaners were here. So they are passed out. They're like on the bed right now, like, please do not bother me, humans who live here, because I'm gonna sleep the whole rest of the day away. Like, this is the thing that's gonna happen. So they are just pure exhausted. It is just exhausting to be huskies who, you know, play at camp all day. So if you're on with me, give me a hi, hello in the comments. Let me know that you're here. I'm gonna, small talk it up for a few minutes while we wait on things to get going here and people to join us. Yeah, today was a bit crazy, but I am excited to wind down and chill after this, and I hope that you guys are too. I actually think it's really fun to end our day with a little bit of learning. um I think it's great to just kind of jump on and say, oh, here's a little tidbit I could get to jot down some notes, wind down my day, take some notes for tomorrow. Or for some of you who kind of are doing a side hustle right now, this may be kind of starting your day, which I did that for a really long time. I worked full-time jobs and I did a side hustle for years, like over 10 years or 8-ish. So I completely know how that goes. And a lot of times I would be winding down from my regular day and dive into a video like this, or a book or something to kind of learn a little bit. And it would help to transition me into my work day for my side hustle. So if that's you, good for you. Getting those dreams happening. Super exciting. I Yeah, I'm really excited for the turnout that I had yesterday on the content calendar challenge video. We had a really great time, and then after that, I actually got to go to my mastermind group. I'm in a group of female business owners, and we meet once a month. And right now, we're doing kind of outdoor, COVID-friendly meetings at people's houses. And we had Moscow mules and little snacks, and just chatted about different topics. Last night we talked about our sales process, and I kind of felt like I went into that meeting thinking, you know what, I kind of have my sales process down pat a bit. It's one of the things that I'm kind of proud of right now as a business owner. There's always things that we can be improving on, always, all the time. But that's one that I was like, you know what, I think I do have a pretty good process for this. And I was excited that I took, the majority of the day off today. And I booked a website and another project, which means my sales process is actually working for me while I'm not in front of my computer, which I think is super exciting. That's like goals when it comes to sales processes. So I was very, very excited to see that come through. And it really solidified that maybe, I am excelling in one area. Now, as business owners, you guys know that it's like a give and take, man. We're like doing so good over here, and then we kind of fall back, and we do really good over here, and then we kind of even back out. We do really good over here. So shoot, to see some of those wins in any area is a really positive thing, and I was very excited to see it. So yeah, I think I am just going to dive right in to our training today because I do realize that a lot of people are going to go back and kind of binge watch these videos. It's going to be a Netflix style content calendar challenge. And you're going to watch this at your own pace. You're going to tackle these things at your own pace. And I think that's super exciting to see, even months later in the challenge that people will kind of come back and work on those things. Uh-oh, looks like I'm frozen over here. Let me make sure. Well, I don't know what's happening. Let me make sure things are working here. Okay, maybe it's working. If you're live with me, let me know if I'm live because on my phone, I seem to be very frozen. Okay. I think we're rolling because on my screen, I'm working pretty good. I'm going to dive right into the challenge. If this video ends up being 30 minutes and not an hour, I'm totally good with that because I'm going to get on to dinner. But my goal with this challenge is to really show all of you who hate planning that planning is such a necessary step to your content creation. And as I went through in last night's video, which you can go back and rewatch now if you missed it, I talked a lot about that your brain really can't process the idea of planning and thinking forward to the future and writing and the creative of graphics or photography and the implementation and the technology that it takes to make that happen all at the same time. I've done a lot of research behind this to know that those are actually 4 very different stages and steps that your brain is going to tackle in different ways each time, right? So my ultimate goal of this challenge is for you to walk away and say, you know what? Maybe my life with content creation would actually be a bit easier if I had a solid plan to follow, or if I sat down and wrote and was staying in a writing mindset at one time, or maybe even if I tackled designing all of my graphics all at one time, because my mind is actually focused in that area and it's tackling that type of work at that time. So that's my main goal for you. And especially if you're not a planner, I really wanted to kind of give you a peek into how I do this for myself and for my clients, and let you know that it's actually a lot more simple than you think. It's actually so simple that I kind of thought, oh, is this good enough to put together a challenge on? Because I just think it's simple. It comes second nature to me now because I've been doing it for a long time. So I hope that if you're in the beginning stages of content creation for your business or for someone else, if you're a freelancer, or if you've been doing this for a while, but it really stresses you out, I hope that you could watch this video and these videos from this week and think about this not being quite as daunting as maybe you've been making it out in your mind to be, right? That's my ultimate goal for this challenge for you. So yesterday it was really fun. I introduced my Google Sheets template, which I am going to right now throw in the comments for you guys so that you have access to download that. So we talked about my Google Sheets template, gave a little bit of an overview to how that actually works. And we talked about picking a frequency, a post type, and an internal goal. So if I could give you just a little bit of an overview, here's what that looks like. A frequency meaning how often are you actually going to send out an email to your clients or your potential clients? How often are you going to make a blog post? How often are you going to post on social media? What does that look like for you? And my goal here with a frequency is that you aren't looking at it going, oh, dang it, I have to create a whole month's worth of content. That feels so overwhelming. If your goal is to send out 4 emails, now you're saying, oh, I just need to write 4 emails. And that's such an easier pill to swallow. So it makes it so much more manageable. Now, then we talked about a post type, your post type either being a serve post or a sell post. What is the focus of that post? Are you serving to your audience or are you selling? This really helps you to not be the account that oversells, but also not be the one that forgets to come in and ask for business when you need it, right? Because ultimately we're here to do business. The last thing we talked about yesterday was your internal goal, because I think that putting an internal goal with each of your posts or your emails actually solidifies all the hard work that you're going to put into writing this content, putting together the graphics, figuring out freaking MailChimp, right? Like it's going to make it so much more worth it, because you know at the end of the day, you're actually working towards this particular goal. A lot of things with marketing are hard to measure. It's not that every time you make a post, you're going to necessarily get a purchase from it. You may also not be able to always track where exactly those sales are coming from. They may have said, oh, I found you, or I've been following you for a while, but I don't actually know where I was first introduced to you, which means that it's really hard to track where did that originate from, right? So this makes it a little bit easier to kind of wrap our heads around the fact that we are making progress towards a goal. So today, what are we going to do today, right? Today, we're going to brainstorm post topics or email topics, blog post topics, whatever focus you're taking. I'm looping content creation all together here for this challenge, because I think planning it all together makes a big difference. You don't want to be talking about something completely different in your email marketing than you are on your social media, because your clients, the going statistic right now is that you need to hear something 5 times before you decide to make a purchase. Now, yes, can all 5 of those things come from just Facebook? Sure, but the algorithm's kind of working against us there. Do you think that that one person's actually going to see 5 posts about the same topic from your Facebook page in a timely manner? Probably not, which is why you need to hit them from all different avenues, and all of that content that you're working on needs to actually connect together so that there's a cohesiveness on the other side of things, right? This is one of the hardest things to do, I think, in marketing, is to actually pull yourself out of the inner mix of the back end of things, right? Where you're deep in the weeds of making these things happen and running your business, and actually look at your business from the outside in, where you're actually perceiving it in the way that your clients and your potential customers do. That, I think, is one of the hardest things to do. But once you've nailed it, you've nailed it. And that's where I see so many businesses and nonprofits switch this light bulb on to where they're going, oh, now I'm getting sales. Right now, things are happening, things are moving in my business, and I'm really excited where things are going. That's when I see that change over to where they're saying my marketing actually works. So let's talk today about post topics. I'm going to share my screen here so that I can put a couple of things. Whoop, somebody's calling me. I'm going to share my screen here so that we can actually jot down a few post topics as we go. And it will make it a little bit easier for us to learn how to use the template that I created for you in Google Sheets. So as you can see here, as a quick overview, this is the template. You can access it in the emails that sent out for the challenge or in the link that I put in the comments for this video. And here you can use this key and actually fill out your content calendar for newsletters, which would be email marketing, blogs, and social media. So I started this yesterday while we were talking for email marketing. So we're talking about, showing up 4 times in the month of October with an email that goes out every Sunday. So let's talk about, what does topic creation look like? And I want to remind you that topics here are not a perfect headline. This is not where you're saying, my subject line for my email is going to read this perfect clickbait kind of information, right? You're just jotting something down. In this planning stage, it's so important to get it done and move forward and not dwell on every single little step. Because when you do, now your brain's trying to be creative and plan at the same time, which is really hard for it to do. So if you take those two things and separate them to where you're planning, you're moving and shaking in this planning stage and you're getting things done, and then you go into creative mode where you're getting that perfect headline, you're getting that those perfect words to go with your post and those great graphics. It's going to make your life so much easier. It's a really hard thing to explain, but I've seen it play out time and time again, and it does make a world of difference. So let's think about how we could brainstorm topics to go into our planning document here. One of the ways that I like to do this is always remember that my content is not actually about me. Even if I am picking a topic that is saying, here's what I bring to the table, or here's my expertise, right? I actually don't ever want to just say, hi, here's what I bring to the table and you should hire me because I'm awesome. You want to make this about them. You want to make it so that they feel so safe and understood by you as a business owner that they can't help but to push that buy button, and that they can't help but to book an appointment with you or a consultation or sign up for your service or whatever the case is for you, right? So, I like to remind myself about that before I even really get into brainstorming topics, which I think is really important. One of the things that I love to do when it comes to topic creation is to think about the problems that my client base faces. So if I am my mom was on here earlier. I saw her. So I'm going to use her business as an example. She has owned a bakery for 19 years now. Super incredible, amazing. So if I am a baker, what problems do my customers face, right? They, the awkwardness of asking how much something costs. That is a problem, right? Especially if you're in maybe a small town, or they know that they're calling you to custom make something for them, and they don't want to have that awkward conversation of, ooh, that was more expensive than I thought, or shoot, I should have got a bigger one because it was less expensive than I thought. So if they're ordering a custom cake, sometimes being really upfront about what your pricing is really important to solving a problem for them. Okay, so another problem that these clients, these customers could be facing is timing, right? Everyone is so busy right now. So even the time that it takes them to come in and talk to you about placing an order, or making a phone call to you, or even timing out like when them or maybe their husband is going to come and pick up this cake for their kid's birthday. It's really important that all of those things run so smoothly, because that is a problem that they face. They're already juggling school drop-offs and extracurriculars and all the other things that are going on in their life, not to mention work if they're a working mom, or whatever the case is for them. I don't know anyone right now that is like, I have all the time in the world. I'll just, spend 5 hours doing whatever I want today, including ordering my kid's birthday cake. So it's really important to know that time is a problem that this client base faces. So I like to challenge people to sit and write down as many problems as you can possibly think of in a notebook. I do this almost as a journaling exercise. I really try to get in the minds of my clients and think about what problems are they facing. Like right now, I know so many people that I work with really struggle with planning. And while it is a kind of a hard thing to show people how to be a planner, especially coming from someone who loves to plan, it wasn't always the case for me. So, one of the problems that I'm solving right now is just breaking it down step by step and explaining it, which could prove to be useful for just the people who need that right now. So, what problems are your customers facing in your industry right now? Now, if you can't come up with the answers to that, if you don't know the problems, then this is where maybe putting in some work to take some people that are in your customer base to coffee. Take them to lunch one day, jump on Zoom with them, give them throw them a free service or something for getting on Zoom with you for an hour and ask them, tell me what problems are you facing right now? What's your life look like right now? Do you buy from Target or Walmart, or do you order grocery delivery because you don't even have the time to go get your groceries, right? Myself included, thank you. And what does that look like for them? So if you have trouble getting in their minds when it comes to that, try to ask them, survey them, put up polls on social media, whatever you need to do to find the answers to that question. The one of the other things I like to do when it comes to topics is talk about the values that I hold. So if I was going to fill this out for social media right now, which social media, I'm going to have a lot more posts, right? Because the goal is to post every day. So if I was going to fill this out for my mom's business, like what we were talking about, then I would say ordering a cake is easy. We offer delivery. These are answers to problems that your customers face. One of them could just be empathetic. Birthdays look different this year. Right? COVID and kids' birthdays just aren't going along, right? So maybe you're just showing up empathetically and saying, we get it. Birthdays look different this year, and that's really hard. But we understand. We understand that that's a problem that you're facing too. So, maybe one of them is place an order via email. Maybe you're not open during the times that they can talk on the phone. Maybe they're off after 6 p.m. or whatever, and you're closed, so they can't call and order you or make that happen. It's just too hard. So maybe they could place their order via email. Maybe check out our pricing online, or whatever the case is there. So you're actually creating different social media posts that hit each of the problems that they face. So the other one that I was about to get into before I realized I should write this down is values. What values do you hold as a company that your customers also connect with? So one of them for me is learning. So what does this look like when it comes to writing emails or blogs or post topics? I frequently will do book recommendations. I will do podcast recommendations. I will summarize things that I've learned. Right? All of these things are really important to me as a business owner because I love to be learning the next thing that's out there and to be growing as an owner. And it's important for me to share that with my audience because I often run into and I'm hired by like-minded entrepreneurs who are looking for someone very similar to them, right? So what other values do I hold? Maybe friendship is one of them. And that's something that, the loneliness of entrepreneurship is a really real thing. Maybe that's something that they value as well. So that's something that I can talk about and truly connect with my audience in that way. So think about what problems your client base, your potential clients are facing, and think about what values you have that they may also connect with too. Talk about those things in your marketing. Now, one of the things that I like to do is I have a freebie that is, I challenged myself a couple of months ago, or almost a year ago, maybe, to create 100 social media post topics. I honestly just wanted to know if I could write down 100. And when I did, I was like, oh, I should turn that into a freebie. So I highlighted a few of them that I want to talk about right now as potential topics that could fit, I think, for either a newsletter, a blog, or a social media post. So one of them being company history. Right. So you met someone and they got added to your email list, or they landed on your website, or they've been following you on social media for a while because they like some of your content. But do they really know who you are? Do they really know who you are as a person, as a solopreneur, as an entrepreneur, as a business? Do they understand, that they really could have even a deeper connection with you? And this is where you talk about how you align with who you think they are. So you're still keeping it really focused on them, but you're also bleeding in things like, I talk a lot about how I was raised by entrepreneurs. That's the phrase that I like to use because I have a lot of entrepreneurs in my family who taught me a lot of great values when it comes to business. Sometimes they taught me what not to do, but more often than not, it was teaching me the different things that I could do better or learn from how they had done things, right? So maybe a reintroduction. So I like to send out emails every now and then or post on social media that says, hey, I'm Crystal. I was raised by entrepreneurs. I have worked in big corporate America and I hated it. So I decided to turn everything around and, become a small business owner instead. And through that, I fell in love with other small business owners who really loved what they were doing. And I wanted to help bring that to life for them. So, I'll introduce myself in that way and say, I love books. I love my dogs. They're such a mess. And I will be the first person to pop champagne with you when you experience a really big win, because I think that celebrating that is worthwhile. So what does that company history look like for you? What does that story look like for you? Even if it's not a history, it doesn't have to be a timeline, but who are you and what are you bringing to the table for them? How could you craft that into an email that goes out to them? How could you put that into a blog post or even a short and sweet social media post to kind of remind them, hi, I'm so and so, and here's actually what I do. I have, a lot of confusion around some of the businesses that I follow on social media because I'll hit follow one day and I'll say, okay, but wait a minute, what is it that they actually offer? What is the service that they offer? What is the product that they sell? And as you want to think that everyone's going to go to your website and read that information, that's just not reality. No one has time for that, right? And that information should be there for when they're ready, but getting them ready is part of your job in marketing. So one of the other ones that I like is a myth about your product or industry. So this one's really fun because let's say that you are a roofing company, right? And there's a big myth going around that every single time it hails, you need to get an estimate and replace your roof. But that's not necessarily always true. It depends on the exact damage that's done to your specific roof. So you could talk about the fact that, you offer inspections or whatever the case is, but that may not actually be true, that they have to have that done every single time it storms, right? And I obviously don't own a roofing company, so don't quote me on that. But what is the myth or what is the misconception misconception that's going around about your industry right now or your product or your service. One that I really love is travel agents. So I actually didn't know until I booked our honeymoon trip that travel agents, I didn't have to pay her. I didn't pay her anything to book my trip. She made her money, on kickbacks from hotels and airlines and things like that. That is a myth about her industry that she educated me on. So, what could you educate your audience on? That makes an incredible email. Hey, did you know that you don't even have to pay me to do this thing for you? That's an amazing email to send out or a blog post to put up. Okay, another one that I really like is upgrading. This is really great for emails too, because you could tap into the tag functionality where you're saying, hey, this person already bought, XYZ service from me, but maybe it's time for the next one. This could mean a lot of different things, but it could be maybe you're a real estate agent and, a year later or 2 years later, you're coming back to that person and saying like, hey, how's that house working out? Are you ready for something larger? Or is it time to downsize or move locations or whatever the case is? Is it time for that next upgrade for you, right? Or maybe you're a lawn care company, and I honestly wish my guy would do this, but maybe you're a lawn care company and you come every week to mow my yard, right? And maybe you're looking at my front landscaping where I have flowers planted, and you're like, "Ooh, this needs some help. We need to pull some grass out of here and get some weeds out, put down some fresh mulch." Could he email me, text me, talk about it on social media, and talk to me about, hey, this is a service that I actually offer. We could add it on to your lawn service or whatever the case is, or you could do it as a one-time thing and try it out. But I could actually make that front landscape bed look really great for you. So that is a great piece of content that you could talk to someone about upgrading. What does that next upgrade look like? Okay, about the founders. This kind of goes back to what we were originally talking about with company history, but maybe they just don't know you yet, right? We like to assume that everyone just knows everything about what we're doing, and that if they haven't caught every single post or every single thing that we've put out, that they're just really behind. But that's not the case, to be honest. So why not tell them again why you're here, who you are, why you started this business, what you're even doing, right? And let them get to know you, give them a sneak peek into who you are and why you're even doing this. So tell them a little bit about that. Now, the next one I have here is, man, typing when you know you're on video is not an easy task. Okay, so talk about, how does your product or service save this potential customer time or money, right? How are you actually helping them? So maybe you're a virtual assistant and you're saving them both time and money because you're all the things, right? There's so many different things there that you could talk about, but especially time. Let's talk about time. Are you doing so many admin tasks in your business that you're just bogged down by that work and you don't get to do the pieces that you love, right? So this is a great opportunity to actually talk about how your service saves that potential customer so much time in the long run. Or if you have a product that you offer, is it something that makes their life a little bit easier? We put in one of those electronic garage door openers. So as I mentioned this morning, my house cleaner came today and cleaned our house. I didn't have to worry about staying here to let her in, to worry about when she was leaving, all of those things. I could get on my app when I saw her pull up in our driveway via our camera system and let her into the garage. And then she closed it behind her when she left. I could pull up the cameras and make sure of that. So, if your product or service is actively saving people time or money, this is a necessary thing to talk about, right? This is a really important thing to talk about. So one of the other ones that I love is a Q&A. The reason why I love this so much is because it's actually really easy to write. So if you think about the frequently asked questions that you often get for your business or your industry, you could honestly just type out the question and then type the answer under it. This works great for email, for blog posts, or if you're doing it for a social media post, I usually encourage that you do one question per post, but that's also great content to work on for social media. So, what is the question that you get asked all the time? And then how do you actually answer that? So one of them could be, if you are a web designer, maybe we're talking about, why do I need a website? Maybe we're talking about, why should I do it in this platform? Why should I hire you instead of DIYing my website? What questions do you often get around this service or this product so that you can, answer them? Because it's very common that the same customers will have questions, right? So one person had this initial question, but 10 other people are probably thinking the same thing, and they just haven't asked you yet. So this is a great piece of content to put out, because it will actually encourage people to, one, ask more questions, and two, it'll give them the answer to probably what's already in their mind. I love this one. DIY information that's relevant to your industry. It is most likely, especially if you offer something that saves somebody time or money, it is very likely that they will not DIY it, right? Because that's why you exist. That's why you exist, to offer this thing to them. Or they might try to DIY it and really think it's really awful. So let's go back to lawn care. A lot of people really hate to mow their own lawns, and we do for sure. So what if you were actively trying to get someone on board as a client to take over their lawn care, and part of you, by doing that, are saying, you know what, here's my top 3 tips on how to keep your yard green this summer. Or whatever the case is for your industry, right? But maybe you're giving them little tidbits of information so that they develop virtual trust in you, so that they start to really understand that you do know what you're talking about, and that you can actually help them with this thing that they're struggling with, or this thing that they need. That DIY information is really important, because you're saying, you know, you could do it, and here's some information for you if you want to, but it is very likely that they will not do it. Okay. Oh, I like this one. A lot of us, our ideal customer is someone who is like us, right? Because we like to work with like-minded people. So it's pretty typical that our ideal customer thinks a little bit how we do, that they are inspired by the similar things that we are, that they care about some of the same things that we care about. So it is really a great piece of content to put out about what inspires you. Sometimes I do this through things like book recommendations or podcast recommendations. Sometimes I'll shout out other businesses that I think are killing it, somebody who's doing a really great job. Sometimes I love sharing on my page artwork that inspires me, because whether it's like chalk art by kids in the summer, or a museum that's open that has a really cool exhibit. Art is my life. Obviously, I'm a graphic designer, but sharing artwork that inspires me seems to really resonate with my audience, because you know what? They are kind of like me. I tend to attract people who are similar to me, and it most likely is going to inspire them too. So that's one of my favorite things to do. Okay, another one, since we're brainstorming here, is to do a video interview with an expert in your industry. Okay, so where does this become relevant? If you are the expert in one area, but maybe not all areas of what your client is looking for, then it could be really important to kind of become a knowledge broker, if you will, for sharing great information that other people put out. This also helps to like solidify connections with other businesses and create a cross communication that will actually help to raise your numbers, because then they can talk about you, your audiences are in alignment. So where does this become relevant? Maybe if you're a massage therapist, right? There's a lot that you can do to help someone, but there may be times where that person needs a physical therapist or a chiropractor or an acupuncturist, someone else that's kind of dancing around what it is that you offer, but could actually still appeal to your client and still really help them. So could you imagine, if you were a massage therapist, that you could do a video with a chiropractor talking about, when is it time to go and see that person? How do you know? What questions do you ask before you land on your perfect chiropractor? What are the things that you need to know up front, or what are a couple of tips that they could give to your audience? So what that does is it further solidifies that you have your audience's best interest at heart, and that you truly do understand them. That at the end of the day, you're saying, yes, I get you. And this is something that's on your mind too. It could even be a nutritionist, right? A lot of people who see a massage therapist regularly may suffer from chronic pain. They could get a lot of benefit from what a nutritionist could say. So what other who else is kind of dancing around what you do, but is in a similar industry or has a similar client base? Could you bring them to the table? Could you do a cross reference? Could you interview them? Could you share that good information with your audience? So what I want to do now is kind of go over the next part, the next section here, which would be notes. So if these are all topics that we're going to talk about on emails or blog posts or social media, one of the things that I love to do at this stage is to actually go back and jot down a few notes. That way, when you go back to actually write the content, you're not starting from scratch and saying, oh crap, why did I write down that topic? Because I don't actually remember why I was talking about that thing. So if it's company history, or if it's company information that you're sharing again to a new audience, we're going to maybe talk about my background, talk about my skills and experience, and talk about how this history or experience relates to their needs. Especially if you're one of those that's like, I've been there and now I'm showing up to do this thing for you. I've already perfected it and now I'm offering it to you. That's a great way to do it. Myths about your product or industry. So we talked about this being maybe with a roofer. So the note here could be, do you need a new roof after every hailstorm? Upgrading to the next product or service. This one could be specific to say, take all logo design clients and try to upgrade them to website clients, right? Usually that's a higher ticket buy. So about the founders, maybe on this one, I want to keep it lighthearted and talk about some of my personal interests too. That way, when I sit down to write it, I'm not just basically writing my resume, but I'm saying, you know what? I love a good glass of champagne. My dogs are my life. I love my back patio, or whatever the case is. Okay, so if we're talking about how our products and services save people money, maybe the note here that we need to remind ourselves is to be specific, not too general, right? That will remind us that instead of just saying our products and services save you money, that you're actually giving a specific example of how this can happen. So for a Q&A, the note here could be just as simple as shoot for 3 questions for this email, right? Or pull questions from follow-up surveys. That way, maybe you're even reminding yourself where in your organization you could actually go to get those questions. DIY information. This one, maybe you're a restaurant, right? But Halloween's around the corner, COVID's weird. Maybe it's a DIY cocktail. So maybe you're doing a spooky cocktail. So let's say Halloween special cocktail. And you're going to teach them how to make it, right? With a video or something really fun. They're still going to want to come to you to get a cocktail on their night that they have a babysitter. Trust me, that this will be a fun way for them to actually, for you to show them that you do know what you're talking about and you can craft really cool cocktails. Share what inspires you. Maybe instead of a book or a podcast here, I actually want to talk about a person. So I'm going to say, talk about a person who inspires me. And then an interview with an expert in my industry, I could even jot down some notes. Maybe a chiropractor, nutritionist, or acupuncturist. Okay, so you can see here that by having those notes right here in our document that we're working on, actually will make it easier so that when we go back to write this content, which is the next stage, that we actually do have this information written down. So you can say, oh yeah, okay, so on this one, I'm just gonna do 3 questions and I'm not gonna go too crazy with it. Or you're saying, what are we talking about? DIY information, but really there we're talking about a Halloween cocktail. So you guys, I really hope that this brainstorm of topics kind of gets you going a little bit on thinking that maybe content creation doesn't have to be quite as hard as we make it out in our mind to be, and that it doesn't have to be the thing that's hanging over your head all the time, but it is something that you can tackle. So I like to just not overthink it at this stage. If you have 4 emails written down, write out 4 topics, write 4 things of notes, and then walk away from it. If you wanted to do a post every day, so you have 30 line items in your spreadsheet for posts for October, write down the first 30 topics that come to mind. And you know what? Some of those may be date specific. On the 31st is Halloween. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel there. Just say that Halloween is your post topic for the 31st. So this is a great way to just get the ball rolling, to know what you're going after. Now, whether you decide to pre-write all of that content and you're pre-planning it, or if you're writing some of it in the moment and pre-writing it just doesn't work for you at this stage right now, which I totally get it, then at least by having a plan to follow, you're saying like, oh, instead of saying, oh shoot, what do I post on social media today? You're saying, oh, today I'm posting about a Q&A. So that's easy. The other day I was asked this question and here's how I answered it. So right there, you already have your content kind of mapped out and it's easier to write. So I hope that this information was really helpful for you. My challenge for today's video, which I know I didn't have a lot of you on live, and that's totally fine. So whenever you do watch the video, this is your challenge. The challenge for today is to make a post in the group and tell us what you do and tell us 3 of your post topics that you came up with. Because if you need help brainstorming in this area, this is an awesome way to do it. The more minds that you kind of get wrapped around, and you know what, it's very likely that your customer, your ideal customer, will be in the group, right? Somebody like them or them is going to be there waiting for you. And who knows when they're going to comment something that you haven't even thought of yet that would actually be a great connection with your audience. So I really love to not try to be perfect all the time and think about all the things that I need to do, but actually pull the right people and pull them in and ask them great questions. So that's what you can do right now with the challenge, is post that in the group and let us help you. So tomorrow I'm going to be live again at 4:30 Central. Of course, you can always watch the replay, but we're going to talk about choosing a writing style and what that means, a call to action for every post, and picking a category to go with each one. So I hope to see you live at 4:30 Central tomorrow. And yeah, good luck with your content creation. And if you have any questions, feel free to post it in the video below whenever you get a chance to watch it. We'll see you soon.